And so, on the 103rd night, under a new evening, beneath a clear sky, and with the stillness of the breeze in the palace gardens, King Shahryar left his private chamber, walking with steady steps toward Shahrazad's quarters, accompanied by his loyal executioner, Masrur, who stood at the door awaiting his master's command. Masrur opened the door with reverence, and Shahryar entered, finding Shahrazad waiting for him, seated gracefully by the lamp, radiating peace and beauty. The king approached, smiling warmly, and said, "Tell me, O Shahrazad, what marvel have you prepared for us tonight?" Shahrazad bowed elegantly and replied in her melodious voice, "With pleasure and obedience, my lord. It has reached me, O wise and fortunate king, that long ago in Baghdad, the abode of peace, there lived a bright young lad, handsome of face and noble of spirit, known as Sinbad. Sinbad was raised in the house of a generous merchant with vast wealth, but fate struck early, and his father was taken by death while Sinbad was still but a child. His uncle Sufyan, famed for his far-reaching voyages and knowledge of the lands and seas, took him under his wing. Sinbad grew up with a heart bursting with dreams of adventure, longing day and night for the mysteries of distant oceans. One radiant morning, Sinbad sat with his uncle and said with determination, "Dear uncle, my yearning for travel has become unbearable. Take me with you on your next voyage, that I may learn the ways of trade and witness the wonders of foreign lands." Sufyan gazed at him for a long moment and said, "Travel, O Sinbad, is not mere amusement. It is toil and danger. If you are ready to bear hardship and brave the perils, then welcome as my companion." The harbours were alive with the hustle and bustle of trade, and sailors called out to one another, loading spices, ivory, and silk. Sinbad stood proudly on the deck of the new ship, feeling like a small bird spreading its wings for the first time, preparing to soar into a boundless world. Out on the open sea, during days and nights of voyage, Sinbad would sit by the ship's helm, listening intently to the sailors' tales. Among his companions was a talking parrot named Yasmina, with emerald feathers and a fluent tongue, bringing a touch of laughter and joy to their journey. Yasmina grew fond of Sinbad, never leaving his side, fluttering above him and chirping, "Where to next, brave youth?" The sailors laughed at the merry bird, but Sinbad realized that Yasmina would be his loyal companion on many adventures. One morning, the sailors spotted a green strip on the horizon. One cried out excitedly, "An island! An island ahead!" And another shouted, "An island for rest and repairing the ship!" Joy spread among them, and Captain Sufyan anchored the ship near the island. The men disembarked gleefully, lighting fires, cooking meals, and mending their sails. Meanwhile, Sinbad ran between the trees, savouring the sun and the gentle breeze, while Yasmina flew overhead, filling the air with her sweet songs. But the joy did not last long. As they played and rested, Sinbad suddenly felt a slight trembling beneath his feet, a trembling that grew stronger until the ground itself began to quake violently. Suddenly, a massive fountain of water shot up from the centre of the island, rising to the sky like a silver spear. Captain Sufyan screamed in terror, "Run! This is no island. It's a sleeping whale that has awakened." The ground beneath them tilted and shifted, and the mighty whale lashed its tail against the sea, raising waves as high as mountains. The sailors dashed back toward the ship, but Sinbad, who had wandered far with Yasmina, struggled to keep his footing. As he tried to flee, he spotted the trunk of a massive tree that had grown atop the whale's back. Clinging to it with all his strength, while Yasmina circled above him, crying out, "Hold on tight, Sinbad!" The whale, with its colossal body, plunged into the depths of the ocean, and Sinbad vanished from the sight of his uncle and his companions. Hours passed, hours filled with suffering, as the waves toyed with him mercilessly, until at last, Sinbad floated atop a plank of wood, exhausted, barely clinging to life. Yasmina swooped down near him, her voice trembling. "Wake up, Sinbad. Are you still alive?" Sinbad opened his eyes weakly and murmured, "Are you safe, Yasmina?" Yasmina fluttered her wings tenderly above him, remaining his last shadow in that endless sea. After endless struggle, the waves carried Sinbad toward the shore of a desolate island, a place shrouded in mist and crowned with towering ancient trees. Sinbad crawled onto the sand, his body trembling with exhaustion. Gathering what strength remained in him, he stumbled forward between the massive trunks, searching for shelter, for hope, for anything. And there, amidst the thick forest, he glimpsed a colossal dome-shaped structure, glowing faintly under the silver light of the moon. Cautiously, he approached, his hand reaching out to touch the smooth, warm surface, his heart pounding with a mixture of wonder and fear. He circled around the structure, examining it closely, and finally realized that it was not a house, but an enormous egg, larger than a small cottage, its shell pulsing with a living warmth, as if it contained some mighty secret within. As he ran his hand over its curved surface, a dreadful cry thundered from above. Sinbad looked up, and the sky itself seemed blotted out by the vast wings of a monstrous bird, its crimson eyes burning with furious fire. It was the legendary roc, the mythical bird of the skies. The roc glared down at Sinbad with a look that promised swift destruction, enraged at the intruder daring to touch its sacred egg. Sinbad stood frozen with terror, his body unable to move, his fate hanging by a fragile thread. And in that very moment, Shahrazad fell silent, for the morning light had begun to creep through the palace windows, and the crowing of the rooster echoed in the gardens. She sighed gently and said, "And thus, dawn overtook Shahrazad," she said softly. Scheherazade perceived the morning light and ceased the permitted speech. And she fell silent, refraining from speaking further. King Shahryar sat in astonishment, restless in his seat, captivated by what he had heard, and he cried out eagerly, "Continue, continue, O Shahrazad! What became of Sinbad? And what of that wondrous bird?" Shahrazad smiled sweetly and said, "Tomorrow night, my lord, you shall know."